Hi, it's Claire from Clare's Food Haven. I'm in Newton Stewart to visit one of our local butchers, Stephen Croney. So I'm with local butcher Stephen Croney in Newton Stewart, who's butchering some Saltmarsh lamb.
Right, this is a carcass here of a Saltmarsh lamb. Now this lamb has been born and bred down in Creetown. So you've got the Inks land, and we call it the Inks. It's the marshlands which runs down the side of the River Cree. It comes off of a home farm at Creetown, and carcass weight was 21.5 kilos, which is a good sized lamb.
Excellent.
Gives you a lovely, leg there, with your shoulders, and then you've got your loins in the middle with a bit of flank and stuff there as well. What we're going to show you today, we'll break it down. Claire, I believe you're looking for a bit of shoulder.
I am, for a hot pot.
We'll show you how we bone that out as well.
Thank you, that's great.
Okay, so it'll take 5 or 6 minutes or so to do that. So what I'll do, I'll just take off the shoulders and then we'll crack on to get them boned out. So what we have to do is make in between 5 and 6 ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we just go up through the ribs, take them off, and we get the saw just to crack the bone. Just to open it up, back down there. Have a nice clean cut down into the loin. Now it's very important when you do this that you try not to catch your meat with the saw, because it'll rip it. Okay, because you want a nice sharp blade to get a nice clean cut.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't damage your meat.
Okay.
So when you take it off, if you have a look at the loin there.
Oh, it's,
So
yeah,
that's
fantastic.
the loin there where it's absolutely fantastic. Not a lot of fat in these because the
Lovely.
sheer fact the weather's been terrible this year for the lambs, and they've taken a wee bit longer to get up to weight.
Right.
Just because the weather was really cold, wet and horrible.
Yeah.
Lambs love sunshine, so they can jump about, run about, get big and strong, eat all the grass that's there.
Yeah.
But when they're miserable and sad in the rain like the rest of us, they don't put the weight on as quick. So
That's
why
interesting.
the lambs are a wee bit later this year coming through.
Okay.
Okay, so
Lovely.
again, just enough fat there just to give you a nice bit of flavour, but ideally, just a little bit more would be great. Okay, right, I'm just going to pop this out to the side, off the back. So now we're back onto the shoulders here. Now there's several ways of boning out shoulders. You can keep it on the bone and break it down that way, but up in Scotland, the majority of us will do it as a bone and hold shoulder. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the neck. Some butchers will keep the neck on and take the bone out, but I tend to take the neck off. And we can use that as a neck chop. So that'll make a lovely Irish stew type thing.
Oh, fantastic.
Slow cook
Yeah.
into little chops, where you can just chop it back into little chops like so. But 9 times out of 10,
Beautiful.
we use lamb for our Scotch pies. So any trimmings off of this, and maybe the neck and the shanks, etc., we use it all for our pies.
Great.
So I was taught old school. I've been doing this a long time. Believe it or
How
not.
long, Stephen? Tell us.
Coming up to 35 years.
Wow.
Now.
That's a lot of experience.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we were
fantastic.
taught to use the tools. A lot of butchers nowadays will use a saw to split things, but we were taught to use cleavers. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to split it with a cleaver. Straight down the middle-ish, which is pretty good for me. And now we're going to take the bones away and get it boned and rolled. So again, we've got the breastbone here, then you've got the rib cage and where the neck would have been, so you get the backbone that goes up into the neck. So we take that piece out first, then we'll go in to find the blade bone, which is underneath there, and then we'll crack the shank, pop it off, and then and that's it, done.
Fantastic.
Okay, so not take too long. So we just crack the breastbone there like that.
You make it look easy, but how long did it take you to be able to do this, without any bother?
It takes time. You know,
Yeah.
you don't learn this overnight.
No.
You know, it can take people, you know, like myself, I probably learned in 2-3 weeks, to be sure. But to get to the level where I am now, I'm still learning. You never
Yeah.
stop learning.
Fantastic.
There's new techniques, there's new ways of doing things. So you're always evolving. So yeah, like so when I was learning or getting taught, you know, it's a completely different game these days.
Yeah.
Like so where we were working with 4, 5, 6 lambs maybe a week, we're not touching anything like that these days. You know, we're doing 2, 3. Like I said at the moment, I've got 8 lambs that came in this week. Hopefully we can get them away. You know, it's a gamble. We don't know, but that's where we're at.
Okay.
It's quite difficult at times to judge. So again, we're going to work away with getting the bones out. So just work around the neck area. And as I say, any wee bits of trimmings we can still use, and that'll go into pint. You can make sausages and burgers, etc. with it as well. There's 2 ways you can fleece the bones out, but we go in between the bones again just to maximise our profit. You know, so the more meat on the joint, the more kind of money we'll make for ourselves. So we'll just get in underneath the ribs. And just work our way around the back and underneath. Try not to nick up. Sometimes if you go through the vertebrae here, you can leave a little bit of the bone in. So you always watch out that if you do nick it, you take it out so it's not left in the roast.
Okay.
Because you don't want to get a little bit of bone in your roast dinner, for example. Just when you're using very sharp knives, the bone is quite soft. You can see there's tiny little bits there that are still left in, so you need to nick them out.
Okay.
Make sure you don't leave them in. So that's the rib cage out.
Yeah.
Now we have a bit of gum, or some people call it a paddywhack, but it's a big tendon that goes down
Right.
the backbone. Just holds everything together for the animal. So it's just like a piece of rubber. So you can see, cut it in half.
Yeah.
It's just like a bit of rubber.
Strange texture.
You know, and it's
Aye.
solid. You don't want to try and eat that.
No.
It's not nice. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to dig in and try and find the blade bone, which lies in under here. And there's a gland that we take out where this lump of fat is. You can see there I'm pulling it back, and then we'll expose. The gland sits right in there. So we just get underneath the fat there and peel it out. Like so. And then the blade bone lies, it's connected to the shank. So the blade bone starts here, so you can see the edge of the blade bone there.
Yeah.
So it starts there and it's connected up here in the joint. So what we're going to try and find is the actual joint itself, which should be somewhere about there. And then I should get on top of the blade bone there, and we'll expose the blade bone. So you can see it there.
You can see it.
And then the joint's right there, and all I have to do is put my hand in the back, pop it open,
Yeah.
and then the joint's open. So then I can get my knife underneath the blade bone, and then it just pops out. So down either side of the blade bone. Oops, it's not connected there. Stand behind you. And just down behind the blade bone there, and then just pop it out. Bob's your fish, and then we go into the joint. So we're taking out now the thigh. It's not a thigh bone; it's collarbone, I suppose.
Okay.
So we'll go around the joint, the knuckle. You do have to be very careful. You hold the shank in with your leg. We do have chain mail and things like that to protect us, but I've been doing it long enough. You know, how to hold on to your knife and control yourself. The likes of the young lads, when they're learning, they have chainmail on to protect themselves. So all the way around, then we come to the shank. We've got a wee knuckle just there to go over the joint, and again we should be able to just pop that open with the knife. And that should just come off. There's your shank. And again you've got a wee knuckle to go around here again. And you're trying to keep this whole so you're not cutting all the way through. So you're basically tunneling it.
Wow.
So you can tie it up and there's no big holes in it, for example. And it'll look like a lovely joint when it's finished. So just work your way down the bone. So then you should be able to get your hands right round the edge of the bone. A couple of wee sticky bits.
Fantastic.
Voila, that's it.
Well done.
So that's it, boned and rolled. So what we do is check out for tendons. So sometimes there's wee bits of tendon still left. Take that out. You can see that's just like silver.
Yeah.
It's a really hard tendon, so it comes out, so it's not very nice to eat as well. And then just square things up. Make sure it's nice and neat. And then again just maybe some pipes and things. So we're pretty good at that. Bit there. Then we get it. And we roll it up like so. Now,
beautiful. This
is quite a small lamb, to be fair. And we sometimes work with bigger carcasses.
Yeah.
As you can see, it is quite lean. But as I explained earlier, that's just because of the weather we've been having this year. All lambs are kind of like that, to be honest, at the moment. So it's just the way they are. Just get rid of that. So now we're ready for tying up. So we've got the string here. And if it's 4 or 5 strings round it just to hold it together. Should be the last one. So there we go.
Fantastic.
So again, that's your piece of rolled shoulder of lamb, ready for your oven.
Beautiful. Thank you for showing us that, Stephen. That's amazing. So I'm just buying half a kilo of diced Saltmarsh lamb from Stephen now. He's dicing it up for me so I can make the lamb hot pot with. I'm also going to be buying some of his sausages, his pork sausages here. Some lovely looking pieces of beef there, silver side, so if you want to make yourself a nice roast beef dinner, you know where to come. Some sirloin steaks, all looks really good, and beef olives.
All our beef, lamb and pork, it comes from Lockerbie. Obviously the Saltmarsh lambs, we get them bought directly from the farm, down at our home farm at Creetown. But our beef and pork will come from the Border Meats, which is Lockerbie, and they've got their own farm. So it comes off their own farm. They go to the slaughterhouse, they've got their own cutting plant, etc., and we can get supplied by them.
That is absolutely brilliant, Stephen.
As local as we can do it.
Thank you, that's amazing. We're going to be cooking up this delicious Saltmarsh lamb that we just got from Stephen Croney and making it into a lamb hot pot. So the first stage, we're going to use the slow cooker for this. So we're going to switch the slow cooker onto high. I'm going to put the hob on 4. We've got a frying pan on the hob there with a little bit of olive oil. Just going to briefly tell you what we've got here to make this. So I've got 600 grams of Saltmarsh lamb here. I've got 1 big carrot, some mushrooms, onion, 1 veggie stock cube, rosemary. We're going to be using a little bit of flour, some red wine, and for the topping we're going to use potatoes, but we're going to do that later on. And I'm going to serve it with some sprouts. So the first step is to brown the lamb. So I'm going to add this to the frying pan. It's a lovely easy dish to make. So we've got the lamb in the pan. Now we want to brown that. So I'm going to let that cook for a few minutes. So the meat's been sizzling away here in the frying pan for a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to turn it so that it all gets browned. This meat is coming along lovely. We're going to leave that for a few more minutes, carry on browning. The lamb's been cooking for a few more minutes. Just going to turn it again. There's still a few pink bits there. Looking good. So I'm just going to, whilst that's finishing off, chop up an onion now. Go with. So what I'm going to do is, when this is finished browning off, I'm going to tip it into the slow cooker, and then I'm going to fry this onion in the frying pan along with some garlic and some mushrooms. So I'm going to cut that up. I'm also going to get a bit of garlic, just a couple of cloves. Still got some fat in the pan that we can use. Put the meat into the slow cooker. It's on high. I'm going to transfer this into there. But I'll keep the fat in the pan to fry the onion, the rest of the food in. We'll add a little bit of salt onto that and stick the lid on the slow cooker. We'll go back to the frying pan. It's on 4. I'm going to put the mushroom and garlic in. Just a little bit of salt. I'm going to cut some, sorry, that's the onion and the garlic. I'm going to cut some mushroom up to add to that. That should do. That's frying away nicely. And we're going to add the mushrooms in. Give it a little stir. Just let that cook for a few minutes, and whilst that's doing, I'm going to prep the carrot. We add a little bit of Liam pea into that. Use this a lot in my cooking, you'll notice. It's looking good. So now we're going to add the flour. I'm just going to turn that right down. I might even turn it off. Yeah. I'm going to put a generous tablespoon of flour into this. You can use plain or self-raising. It doesn't matter. Maybe a little bit more, because this is going to have quite a lot of liquid in it. And we're going to stir that in together with the veg. And you can see it all, the flour just goes into everything. Okay, and that is going to go into the slow cooker with the meat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the red wine and just take off any excess flour that's in the frying pan with the red wine. Red wine's such a useful tool for cooking with, you know, it's so handy. And of course you get a nice little bit of extra flavour with the red wine. So just gonna, you see it's getting all that, any extra juices or flour that's in the bottom of the pan there. And then we're gonna add that into the slow cooker. Give the slow cooker a really good stir. So I'm gonna add a little bit of tomato puree, but just a good squeeze. There we go. I'm also going to add a tiny little bit of rosemary, not much. It's a very strong herb, this. That's all I'm putting in. I'm going to boil the kettle with a little bit of water, and we're going to add 500 ml of stock, veggie stock. The kettle's just boiled, so I'm going to add 500 ml of water into here. There we go, it's quite a lot. Just stir that veggie stock cube in. I'm just going to add half of this to start with, see where we're at. Definitely. So you want all of your meat to be covered. So we're going to add the carrot in there. it a stir. Pop the lid on. The hot pot's been cooking for about 4.5 hours now. It's smelling and looking amazing. The meat is just falling apart, you know, when I touch it with a knife. So I'm going to do the potatoes next. There is quite a lot of liquid in with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of this liquid out with a ladle. Just a couple of spoons. Next, I'm going to peel these potatoes and thinly slice them. So I've peeled the potatoes and now I'm going to cut them into thin slices. About that thick. There we go. So I didn't use all of the potatoes in the end. I've got plenty there. Just going to put them in a bowl with a little bit of olive oil and a sprinkle of salt. Just use a spoon to coat them. I'm going to cook them in the air fryer for 10 minutes on high heat. Just make sure they're nice and flat in the bottom there. I'm going to cook some sprouts with this. Got enough here for two people. So when you're peeling the sprout, I like to just chop the end off. Show you what I do. Take the outer layer off, and then I put a little cross in there, like this. Okay, that's all the sprouts cut. I won't put them on to boil yet. I'm going to wait to put the potato on top of the casserole because these will only take 8 to 10 minutes to cook. I'm going to taste the hot pot juice now, just see where we're at. I'm calling it juice because it is quite. There's quite a lot of it. It's quite runny. That's lovely. Maybe a bit more salt. I'm going to put just a sprinkle more rosemary in. Not much. There we go. Salt. Give that a stir. The potatoes are finished in the air fryer and they are ready to go on top of the lamb hot pot. I'm just going to taste it. Just to make sure that the flavour's okay. It's looking really good. I did put a little bit too much water in. That's lovely, that little bit of extra salt. So I am just going to lift a little bit of the juice out before I put the potatoes on top. It looks really good. So I'm going to lay the potatoes on top now and let them cook on top there for just 5-10 minutes, just to soak into the hot pot. So I'm just going to put the sprouts on for 10 minutes. Fire up that hob. Put the lid on. Sprouts have been cooking for 10 minutes. I've just turned off the hob. They are definitely ready. So I'm going to drain them. The hot pot is ready to be served and it smells incredible. I'm going to use a ladle and just spoon it on. There we go. Decent amount of potatoes there. Again, you can see it is quite liquidy. I have taken some of the liquid out. I'm going to add some sprouts onto that. Sizzling away in the slow cooker there. Saltmarsh Lamb Hotpot.